What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to episode 30 of Domiciled, the podcast that explores the subculture of truck drivers as well as logistics professionals, bringing their stories to the masses. I'm your host, Scott Cleary, and like last time, before we kick things off, we're going to talk about our favorite colorful recruiting rodent, purple squirrel. So what purple squirrel does, kind of like Paul's dirt squirrel up there, represents freight agents, freight brokerages, and freight forwarding companies. If you'd like to earn more, reduce your liability, and grow your career, you should have a chat with Ryan Smith over at Purple Squirrel about becoming an independent agent. They represent multiple broker and forwarding companies, allowing them to provide you with several career offers. You have options. Let them advocate on your behalf. So, catch us up on your life of Paul, buddy.
Oh no! Don't do that. No, we're just rocking, man. We're rocking and rolling, having a great time over here. I'm rocking my Revanova shirt. Shout out,
I see that.
Parisi and Horvath and all those guys over there, and you, of course.
Thanks, pal.
Big fan of Revanova over here.
Yeah, man, you got the teal, the OG color.
Yeah, the OG. Oh man, yeah. Maybe I should hang on to this. I've like barely worn it.
We get one a year. I've got navy and black now, as well as that one.
Oh, you should wear the black with blue pants. I've heard that's a good combo. So no, we're just rocking and rolling. Good time over here. A little bit of travel. Was down in Raleigh last week. The coolest thing I think that I'm seeing right now, and it's really interesting more on my side of space, but recently Amazon is no longer going to be doing kitting. So a lot of the 3PLs right now are really interested in kitting and filling that gap for their customers. So it's actually pretty cool. Been pretty busy over here, and hanging in there, rocking and rolling. We're growing a bit over here, so that's fun.
Nice.
But what about you, big dog? Big shoots?
Big shooter. Yeah. So when this releases, will be right at the end of August. So for those listening, Paul traveled a few weeks ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, guys, madman, just collecting those sky miles. But no, I'll. So when this drops, I'll be 3 days out from a real big golf trip with my dad. That I know we've chatted about, but yeah, I've been planning a long time.
Pebble,
going to Pebble. So I might have talked about this in another episode, but since we're getting there, we're doing 5 nights at Pebble Beach, playing Pebble, Spyglass, and then Pebble again. We're walking all 3, caddy all 3, like we're doing it up. And the story is the reason I'm doing this, right? Obviously, it's kind of like a crazy thing to do, not something people do every day, right? Obviously, it's a public course, but still a big trip. And I'm like his sentimental oldest. So when one day with my dad, we were just chatting about whatever, he was telling me, he's like, dude, when I go one day, he's like, don't worry. Again, personify 60s Irish guy from Boston. It's my dad. He's like, don't worry, dude, when I go someday. He's like, don't be sad. I'll be walking on Pebble Beach. And I always thought that he just really wanted to play there. It's so beautiful, this and that. And he actually just really loves Carmel, California. He's never thought he'd go. So I held on to that line for like over a decade. And the plan was to do it all as a big surprise, but there was some stuff that ended up happening. I wanted his input. So we're going 28th to the 5th, 5 nights at Pebble, and then he wanted to stay longer so we could explore Carmel more. So he booked a hotel, the Hyatt, that's like right on the cliffs over around Big Sur, Point Lobos, I think it's called. And just amped up. He's calling it Bill and Scott's Big Beautiful Trip.
I love that.
Oh my God, Big Beautiful Trip to Carmel. Yeah.
It's a big beautiful trip. They're saying it's the best.
It's the best. It's the best.
Anyways,
I don't care who you like. That's funny.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I'm really excited for you. I remember you chatting about it. Really excited. Hope we get some photos. Throw it on the old LinkedIn. But I'll tell you, I'm really excited to talk to our guest today. I think we've had a lot of cool people come on, and the more I think about it, the more I feel really lucky that we're still doing this. As it's very fun, but also we get to just meet some incredible people, and I think it's time to introduce them and get going, man.
I think you're right, pal. So without further ado, we'll bring them in after this intro. I always like to give them a nice intro because I want to pump them up. I want to get the people going. I want to get the guests going, right?
Butts and seats,
butts and seats, right? Got to pay the bills. Scotty needs a new pair of shoes. So our next guest, he is no newbie to the freight and logistics space. In fact, he told us he's been here for 30 years. Paul, I think that's over than you. So he started off sweeping yellow freight dock like many folks do, and then he took to the Navy. Thank you for your service. Was then recruited by ABF and has a few funny stories and interesting hobbies to share. We'll go over that in his latest endeavor, and a very big reason he's here, a very interesting endeavor. He's founder and CEO of FetchGoat, which he'll go into. Looks like Lombard on a previous episode that he had Bill on called it the AAA for carriers, AAA for drivers. So he's going to get into that. It's a product aimed directly at helping carriers with some very difficult situations, not to bury the lead. So we plan to cover it all on the pod. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Bill Hale. What's happening?
What's up, guys? How are you?
All smiles.
All smiles all the time.
That's right.
Super stoked. I got to ask, where did the goat part come from?
Yes, nice. Start there.
We get that a lot. So, and it's good. So when we were trying to come up with a name, we had a couple of rules. The rules were it has to be spelled correctly because you have so many different products out there that it has like deliver with 2 or 3 R's. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, you want to spell it correctly so we can be found. It needs to describe what we do, and then the last one is if we could throw in a mascot. That would be a bonus. And so we were throwing names around, all kinds of really shitty names. And then someone Fetch, we're like, hey, Fetch works because that's what our platform does is it goes out and fetches data and brings it back and displays it right in the masses. And so like, okay, we're on to Fetch. And so, but Fetch was taken, obviously. And then we saw, okay, what about Go Fetch? Well, Go Fetch was taken also. And then someone said, hey, what about FetchGo? And we're like, okay, well, that works. And so we looked it up, see if it was available. It was available, but the URL was $16,000 for sale.
Goo.
We were about $16,000 short at that time. And so someone blurted out, hey, what about FetchGoat? What about the goat? And we're like, well, holy shit, that works. And so we went out and did a quick search on FetchGoat. And we bought the URL for $9.95.
You had that.
Yeah. But we adopted it. We conquered all we wanted to conquer. But the cool thing is if you Google FetchGoat, as goofy as it is, the only thing you're going to find is stuff about us. That's it.
Perfect.
Nothing. So yeah, that's how we came up with the name.
Outstanding SEO.
Not $9.95.
Yeah. That's awesome. And clearly, given your background for all the folks watching, you leaned into the goat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the first time ever I've had kind of facial hair. I'm Native American. I can't grow facial hair.
Okay.
You can't see the stash here, but it looks like I look like the 8th grader that could buy beer. It looks like that kind of stash.
Hey, you're looking at me, right?
Yeah. I had no names, man.
Hey, you're looking at me. I'm Armenian. This is as good as it gets. This is it. This is
My
all we
sister
got.
can grow better mustache. But it took me like 6 months just to do this little part here.
Yeah.
Really? It looks solid.
Yeah.
It looks like looks like you did that 4 days.
Yeah, it's poor, but no, it's things have been going good. I appreciate you guys having us on, and it's very exciting. It is very exciting times right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I noticed looking at your I pulled up your website here. First of all, love the homepage, right? Like love that scroll through, really nice and awesome. But I think that the biggest question I have out of the gate, just because I feel like this is something really important, is I think we live in a world of like a lot of data. And like I remember when I was in school, and Scott, you probably feel the same way. I'm sure Bill, you as well. It was like the information age, right? Everyone's talking about the information age. Well, like, I don't know about you, but in my daily life, at work, and everything, I have too much freaking information. I have too much. I don't even know what to look at. And I'm curious, when I look at your website, for FetchGoat, it looks like there's it's a little bit more drilled in. It's a little bit more, here's exactly what you need to see for each metric. Maybe, let's talk about what matters to you. And even looking at some of the screenshots, I can see that it seems like there's a little bit of thoughtfulness in saying, I want to make sure I'm giving you exactly what you need and nothing else. Was that an intent? Like, was that the intention going in, or tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, no, good question. So what our intent was moving forward was we want to be able to provide data that our customers can't get on their own.
Okay.
And so remember, we've gone from a manual process to an automated process. And now with an automated process, you have a lot of data. And so what do you do with all that data? So the first step that we do is we ask them, we upload all of their KPIs that they're currently tracking, but they're doing it manually. Like
just being a carrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure, just for people logging in, this is from the carriers. Yep.
Yeah, so this is from the carrier. So from a carrier's perspective, managing a breakdown, for example, I mean, they're looking at, their data is like invoices, paper invoices that come in from a vendor that someone manually types into a spreadsheet, so they can track it later. Well, we're doing all that stuff in real time today. So we're bringing all this data into the system. And then not only are we bringing the data in, so we have our proprietary AI that we built named Geronimo. Nice. And so Geronimo is always looking at those opportunities to provide them trends or statistics or something that they can't get on their own. And so, but yeah, so that was with intent. So we bring the KPIs in, but the team's always looking for, some type of data that they can't get, or some type of statistic or whatever that they can't get on their own without using the technology.
Mm-hmm. So you're really approaching this from a getting people, like empowering people with data. Like you're really at the end of the day trying to say, like, how can I make your job better? Because I can think about like brokerage life, right? Scott and I, like, I got too much data in front of me again, right? Like I'm in the company TMS, I'm on DAT, I'm on this, I'm on that. I always used to joke, it's like the blue collar stockbroker, right? I'm looking at so much data and,
right.
And I imagine, I always thought, from the carrier side, talking to folks, like the folks that are really squared away know their numbers. They know what they need to hit. They know how many runs they need to do. They know exactly what rate they need and things of that nature, especially owner ops. Is that, when you look at this tool, is that really the target for it? Or are you looking towards like multiple trucks? Like where's your sweet spot?
Sweet spot's multiple trucks. So larger fleets. So from, I would say if you are required to have a dispatch team, a dispatcher to manage the trucks, then FetchGoat is a good match for you. Other way, we're talking about, we're doing some of the largest fleets in the country, that is running FetchGoat today. And so it's, we're damn proud. But to your point, from a data standpoint, we're not a bunch of guys from Silicon Valley. No offense to Silicon Valley. We're not a bunch of guys or tech guys. We're a bunch of freight nerds. So we're a bunch of freight nerds that saw some opportunity in the industry and decided to build automation around it. So that's, essentially what FetchGoat does is we look at different processes within the industry, whether it's first mile, last mile, full truckload, LTL, and what are processes in there that are largely manual, but if we could build automation around it, would be really impactful. And so that's what we do.
So then for those listening who haven't heard of FetchGoat, and especially those who might benefit from using your product, lay it down for us. What is it that you guys do now? And what are maybe some ideas that you have of things that are coming up?
So good question. I'm not going to say what's coming up. We've got two more awesome ones.
Oh, come on.
But it's you can build tech too fast now. So
true.
So our first product was a last mile product. So kind of geared towards healthcare, last mile, managing couriers, and then we launched FG Breakdown. And so FG Breakdown with intent was designed to take that breakdown process and automate that breakdown process, because when a driver experience, and you guys have dispatched before over time, and you're looking at the former Rocky Mountain Regional Line Haul Manager for ABF. So shout out there. Way back in the day. And the shit has not changed since. It's still managed the same way. I talked to the biggest trucking companies in the country, and they're still managing it the same way. And that is, driver breaks down, driver breaks out a cell phone, calls into dispatch, leaves a message, typically because they can't get their dispatcher, leaves a message. Callback happens on an average of 60 minutes back to the driver. So the driver's been sitting 60 minutes in the hot sun. They're already pissed off. Things are not going well anyway. They're going to miss, a recital. They're going to miss something with their kids or dinner with the family. But so there's an issue that goes on, and the same thing with the dispatcher. The dispatcher's got a job to do, and so when now they got to stop what they're doing and go look in the Rolodex and find. I just aged myself. Look in the system and find a service provider or mechanic in the area to fix whatever issue is, whether it's tires or hoses or trailer brakes or whatever it might be. They got to find a provider in that area that's an approved provider. Are they a preferred provider? Are they are they in a system? So they got to do all that, and then once they find them, they call them, make sure they can service it, gives the driver location. Then they got to relay all that information back to the driver. And then they go back to the service provider to find out an ETA. It's just a big game of telephone. And what we're seeing from the previous data was there's an average of 15 touch points for that dispatcher, 15 calls that have to happen for that dispatcher to manage a breakdown. I mean, holy crap. How inefficient is that for the dispatcher? And so what we built in FetchGoat was now that driver scans a QR code, and that QR code is custom to that particular company. And even if you're a particular company, if you're an owner operator that signed on with them, you get even a more unique identifier. And so you scan that QR code, takes you to a page, because nobody wants an app. Nobody wants an app at all. And,
it's amazing how we're just like apps are becoming old school.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has app exhaustion, and so
too many.
Totally agree. And so as long as they can reach the internet with the phone, then they go to a page. They enter basic information is, my name's Bill. I'm in tractor number 1000 and my trailer brakes are locked. Just basic information, and I'm in a safe spot, or it's an emergency. I had an accident, whatever it might be. Then what happens from that point is that will go to a dashboard that that dispatch has. It'll also, an alert will come up on the dashboard, says you have a breakdown, and they can crack it open and look at it and see, what the breakdown is. And at that point, the dispatcher has two choices. I'm in the Fort Worth, Texas area. So if I'm broken down here and they have a go-to vendor or a national contract with somebody, they can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do Love's or, Flying J or whatever for this particular location that I'm at, because it's closest. We have a national contract with them, so I can assign a provider. Or if I'm in the middle of Evanston, Wyoming, and I don't have a national contract there, then I can let the AI do it. So Geronimo will go out and look in a 30-mile radius and find the provider that's closest, that best matches the fix, and then and also it'll see if it's a preferred provider or an approved provider. And at that point, then our AI will reach out to that provider, either by text or by email or phone call, however they want to be communicated with. And then once they agree to do the breakdown, they'll reply back with yes, and then give us an ETA. And then at that point, the AI manages the whole process from there, keeps everybody informed, keeps the driver informed, keeps the dispatcher informed, keeps the service provider informed, and does everything through a series of automation. And so we improve the period of time where the driver's broken down, and to get back on the road, we can improve that by over 40%. Because remember, before, the driver calls in and gets a call back on an average of 60 minutes. This happens instantaneously. And so, now we bought ourselves 60 minutes on a breakdown. So even if we could cut down a breakdown time in half, you're still making money getting back on the road faster. That's the goal. The whole goal is, what can we do to make the driver experience much better? Because the drivers always get the shit into the stick. So what can we do to make the driver experience better? What can we do to make the dispatcher more productive? and what can we do to make the service provider more productive as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's where I was going with it is for the drivers just to know that it's being handled. It's like having the Domino's pizza tracker. You know when they're on the way with your pizza and you're not frustrated anymore. So even bigger scale, right? I kind of reductionist with the Domino's tracker reference, but the driver just seeing like, you know, it's like, okay, I know Geronimo. Is that the Native American influence?
That's it.
Yeah, I like it. So we know Geronimo's here hooking us up. 30-mile search. We like it. Good for the drivers.
But the cool thing about Geronimo and automation is we can do that, at a mass scale. And there's I won't name the company, but we have an oncoming company that's new, and they currently have about 900 breakdowns a day.
Whoa! So they're not a small company.
Yeah, no, not a small company at all. But that's the norm with the big companies.
That many a day.
Well, that's the law of larger numbers, Scott. There's an X amount of percentage that's going to occur. So, I mean, good for you, Bill, because that tells me there's a massive ROI boost for them. But something you mentioned earlier really stuck out to me, which is you're talking about the driver kind of getting the butt end of the stick. And Scott, you brought up a really good point saying like it's like a Domino's tracker, right? And something that I've found working in the dock scheduling, yard management, driver communication, check-in, check-out solution space is almost every problem that happens at the dock comes down to I don't know what's happening and I've waited for X amount of time. And it reminds me a lot of if you've ever been to a McDonald's at a I almost said McDonald's at a Walmart, McDonald's at an airport.
Those happen.
Yeah, they do. But if you've ever been to a McDonald's at an airport, so I'm thinking of one in O'Hare right now, they got a big board up front that says now serving. I'm going to tell you, if I had to sit there and that wasn't there, I'd get pretty impatient. But the fact that I know that mine is being prepared and I can see who's being served right now and I can watch them pop over, that settles me, right? And that I think it's very similar to that visibility. I think there's a lot of tech going into the space still. And there's a ton of tech coming into our space, and some of it is from Silicon Valley where it's getting made in a vacuum. Some of it is from folks like yourself. But there's a lot of stuff that's just extra fluff, and it's like really refreshing to hear that over at FetchGoat, what you guys are doing is saying, hey, I just want to increase the visibility to the driver to say, hey, you know what? It's going to get fixed. And let's go ahead. It's being handled. Like that's so comforting to know. Like, oh man, because imagine all the thoughts going through that guy or gal's head. Like, oh man, crap. My trailer brakes are locked out. I'm stuck here. I've got a 10 a.m. pickup. I'm this, I'm that. All those things are going through their head. That's really stressful.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy stressful. And the cool thing with using automation and using a trained AI that knows logistics and knows the space. Is that if that driver, so once we log that tractor number is automatically going to hit a trailer number. So we know on that trailer number what freight's assigned to that trailer. And so we can even go as far as if you're going to miss an appointment or late to an appointment, we can even notify the customer. We'll let the customer know, hey, we've had a malfunction, a mechanical malfunction, driver's being tended to. We expect, an ETA of X, and just make sure the customer is okay with that. And so we don't, take the driver into a Walmart appointment and they're going to have to be there for a week. We don't do that.
Well, and what's great too is it gives it's peace of mind as well. I think for the shipper and possibly even the broker, right? Because a lot of times the shipper and the broker are told, "Oh, he blew a tire." Yeah. Like how, so that you get told a story a lot. So if you're receiving something from a piece of technology, then it's more proof and, like you said, proactive as well. So maybe the broker didn't even know what happened. I don't know if you guys do tie in or plan to. Well, I'm sure you'll tie into TMS, if not now, at some point soon. So the brokers will have that, and just being able to say with all the overload that there is and all this AI soup and all these companies that surely will fail. Like I felt the same thing that Paul said when we first talked. I'm like, oh, this is something that actually people do need, because you're not replacing humans. You're not getting rid of a job. You're literally making a horrible thing way better. And that's really, if you're gonna create something that's gonna last, that's how you do it.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. That's it. We're taking something that happens. We know it happens with trucks about every 10,000 miles. And the average drive, there's 3.6 million drivers on the road today. It happens about every 10,000 miles. So you figure 36, there's 36 million breakdowns annually. So it's going to happen.
Your ROI is very easy to convey.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we're making the dispatcher more productive. We're making the driver more productive. We're actually giving the driver more attention, which is important, because that is your most cherished commodity in your company is your driver. So
yeah, if I did the math right, Bill, that's about 98,630.13 a day, assuming 365. Not obviously, because this stuff's running 365.
Yes.
So that's pretty wild, Bill.
Yeah, that's a big number. It is.
It makes you want to get into maintenance. Tell you that.
It's a big maintenance is a big business. It's just the maintenance side alone is a $245 billion industry. And so even today, there are several companies out there that they outsource the breakdown solution to, and how they outsource it is it's outsourced to a call center. So
of course,
I won't name the TMS that has
a tale as old as time.
Yeah, there's a few TMSs out there, but they have a breakdown solution. But you call a call center and then they manage the whole process. And we're like, no, you don't need to do that. You can do it with automation.
Yeah. Find best fit near me that fits X.
Plug and play.
Exactly. And then you have then you have the element of time, and the element of time, breakdowns just don't happen during 9 to 5. So they're 24/7, 365, right? And Geronimo never sleeps. Geronimo's running 24/7, 365, and so we never have staffing issues at that point.
Yeah, no, that's huge. So when you getting the tattoo? When's the FetchGoat tattoo happening?
Which one? The FetchGoat logo or Geronimo?
Oh, does Geronimo
does Geronimo ride the goat? Because that's actually really cool.
that would be pretty epic. I would like to see what that looks like. No, I'll be happy to get the FetchGoat tattoo.
Does Geronimo have a likeness?
Geronimo does not have a likeness just because of trademark issues with Geronimo. So, but we can still, FG Geronimo. But we can skirt around that a little bit. We just got to be careful.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I totally hear that. So Bill, quick question. I'm talking to you. You started it. We're talking to you. You started, cleaning the dock at Yellow, and all this time later, you're providing. You've founded and working with and built and designing a service that's really around, helping the driver out. How do you go from working at the dock to caring so much about the driver and seeing that solution? Because I'm not getting the sense from you, Bill, that you're looking at this as a money opportunity. I'm getting the sense that you looked at this and said, I can affect good. Like I can do something for good.
Yeah, no. And Paul, you're right. I'm on the back end of my career. And so, if I can leave this industry a better place than it was when I got here, then I've done my job. And so I always look for opportunities like that. But yeah, I started sweeping the docks at 17 years old at Yellow Freight, and then I got promoted to the shop. And then at that point, I was steam cleaning engines. And if you've ever steam cleaned an engine, a diesel engine, that's not a good job. That's a really crappy job. And so
that's messy.
I would find grease in my ears months later, and it was bad. So
because you just blasted the stuff off the engine.
Just flying everywhere, and and it's very funny for all the senior guys there that when I come out of the bay and I'm just covered in grease. But I realized then that I probably didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So, went to school, and, after University of Kansas asked me politely to take my 0.01 GPA and depart. I said, okay, I can't afford to be here.
How close was it to 0.01? I feel like you're exaggerating.
I was a bong rip away from the 0.01. So
I support that.
Living on a prayer.
So we had a ball in school, but unfortunately I wasn't grown up enough to be there. So I needed to grow up a little bit. So I had to figure out how can I still pay for college. So I went to the Navy, and for the GI Bill, and then to eventually go back to school and finish school. And but while I was there, I got recruited by Walmart, of all places.
Oh, okay.
So I got recruited by Walmart. At the time, this is back in the 20s. And so at the time, Walmart had 3 computer houses that ran their systems worldwide. One of them was here in the Dallas area in a town called Terrell. And so I had an offer to go to work at that computer shop there that they had. And, PCs were really coming on strong in the late 90s and mid 90s, excuse me. And so that was going to be my job. So I was going to get my family out of the Navy, go to work for Walmart, and sit in a cubicle for 30 years, and and write code or whatever they're going to have me do. So I met a guy at a wedding, New Year's Eve, and a New Year's Eve wedding. So I was in my best shape. You can count on it. And so he was a regional vice president at ABF, and just a super guy named Sid Hatfield. Never forget Sid. And so he came in and we talked. We sat and talked for probably a half hour. And he said, "Look," he said, "after talking to you, I don't think Walmart's going to be your cup of tea." He said, "Do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Come to Denver. I'll fly to Denver. Come look at this operation, and if you like it, great. If not, hey, you're already set with Walmart." So I flew up there that next week, literally that next Monday or Tuesday afterward, and flew to Denver. They picked me up. We went to the facility. It was a big distribution center they had up there. And I walked out onto the dock to this platform, and I looked out, and it was just forklifts and people flying everywhere and trucks coming in and out. And it was like chaos. I'm like, I'm home. This is just like it's like the military, it's just controlled chaos. And so I said, yeah, sign me up. So we moved up to Colorado, and I went to work at ABF, and the rest is history.
There you go. You're bong rip away from Walmart, and you ended up at ABF.
Yeah. I mean, so I had multiple jobs at ABF. Ended up my career at ABF working at the corporate office. Forever in debt to that organization. They built a great foundation in me, and then I, continued on my professional career with other logistics companies, and then finally had an opportunity to build FetchGoat. It was an idea that I had where we go in and we meet with a customer, and every customer that we meet with, it was the very same process. We go into a conference room, we meet with them, and then we'd go outside and we would meet with the team. That team, that operations team, those were the people that were communicating with my terminal and all the folks back in my office, because they had to manually manage every single carrier differently, because every carrier used a different technology. And so I always thought, man, if we could create like an interpreter to lay over the top of these providers and aggregate all that stuff into one place, then I think it would be a good tool. So that's how we started FetchGoat. So that was product number 1, and Breakdown's product number 2.
Oh, so you did the classic. I mean, that's seeing a real world problem and going, hey, I could do something about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's such a cool. I've always joked. Scott, I've mentioned this to you, right? Or like, there's a lot of stuff that us as sales guys gripe about, and things like that. You always look at it and go, man, has there ever been a CRM like actually made by a couple sales folks? Because man, it's like I swear to you, the amount of time I spend in a CRM just sitting with leadership going, how do we make it do what we want it to do, right? And it reminds me a lot of what you're saying. Is like you're sitting there with the understanding and the knowledge of your experience, saying there's got to be a way to do something better here. And it's not like you were at a small shop. I mean, ABF is big, and trusted. So it's like you saw it firsthand, right? So it's really impressive. How scary was it to make the jump there?
Oof, yeah,
good one.
Yeah, it's scary. Starting a startup, running a startup is not for the faint of heart. It's not. I went from a very, very handsome salary and very cush position, and all of expense accounts and travel, all the bells and whistles from being a senior executive to not having any income, and so literally blowing through. We put everything into FetchGoat, retirement, 401, savings, sold most of my toys. I kept one bike, but boats and trailers and motorcycles, and just for cash flow to survive. And and a very, very patient wife. So
that's key.
I've heard that is key.
Most definitely. She's been a trooper, and so now she's happy with the way things are going, and so happy mama, happy home.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, for anybody who's seen the Billy Joel documentary out recently, you'll know that he got taken by his manager. He went from about 90 million to broke, and he came back, made half a bill. So I think you've got whatever your relation is to those numbers. I mean, I think you're going to get there, man.
I'll take a half a bill.
Yeah, half a bill. Everybody buy FetchGoat, get Bill his island. He did it for the people, but he would like a private island for his wife, and he's going to ride off in the sunset. 5-year exit.
No, 5-year exit. All right. Hey, Scott, you've been hanging out with VC guys too much. But no, Bill, it's really awesome. I guess, talk about, tell me something I'm curious about, right? I'm in a pretty early startup, right? Talk about building your team out. Tell me like, hey, you got this idea. How do you know who's good with you, right? And how do you get through that? Because it's hard. Just getting your first million's crazy, right? In run rate, getting past that's harder. Like, tell me what that's like. I feel like you've got some stories there. You seem very, very in command of what you guys are doing over there, and I'm really curious about that.
Yep. So, excuse me, just one second.
Doggo. Oh man,
yeah, had a visitor. So okay, so from the team's perspective, the team is phenomenal, and we had two things that transpired. So when we first built out FetchGoat, we ran out of money. So we had a team, and revenue wasn't coming on as fast as it should have been, and so we ran out of money. So we had to have a layoff, and then we continued on, not taking any salaries for better over a year, until we could build back up and still pay vendors and still pay contractors. But, we couldn't take a salary for over a year. So almost a year. And then, but the folks that we had on the team that we laid off, because of the culture that was built internally, and it was built by the team, not by me. It wasn't my culture. It was the team's culture. But because of that, the ones that we laid off, they still stayed on. They stayed on and moonlighted. They went off to new positions, but they moonlighted at night and stayed on board to help us continue the mission. And then when we turned back around and got funded, then they all came back. And all of them came back but one. And the one that didn't come back is because we have an AI now that is doing that job. And but we still work with that person on a contract basis. And but yeah, I mean, the team is a phenomenal team. They get it. They know what we're trying to accomplish, and the fact that this is all about the experience, about the user experience from a customer side and also from a driver side. 100% on board.
Absolutely. It's really awesome because it's really hard, right? Like there's a lot of missteps. I had my uncle was an entrepreneur, and I watched him pour his entire life into a business from, he was doing it from 1970 till he sold it in 2015, 2016. And, I commend you for going out there and making it, right? Because like you've not only solved the problem, but you've made jobs.
Yeah.
You know,
well, we want to make more jobs.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the good thing about it is, we're helping an industry, and yes, we're using automation to do so, but we can still expand that, and we can continue to grow. One of the biggest ones that we have from a growth standpoint is that customer success teams, that implementation team that that work directly with the customer and make sure that they're happy and they're getting what they need. That's an important role in our organization. And so I think as we continue to scale, that one is going to be one that's going to be in high demand. Is we want to make sure that we're giving, as I mentioned before, giving them data and giving them data and experience that they can't do without. Once you've automated, once you are fully automated a process internally, you can't shut it off. You can't go back to having the drivers call
analog.
Yeah. Once you get there, once you get that sweet automation, you don't really want to go back.
Yeah.
No, 100%. So I guess the last thing that's really interesting to me is, this is a industry question. So 2020 we're talking OTR, 2021 we're talking OTR. It seems slowly but surely there's a lot of push on that final mile, on those sprinter vans, on those box trucks. And it seems a lot of folks are embracing that and trying to build in a way, maybe not the old Amazon model of I need a facility everywhere, but maybe trying to partner with folks to figure out how to get those things to the final mile, right? Either they're going through, 3PLs or things of that nature regionally, as opposed to standing up their own facility. How are you guys looking at it from, I imagine you guys are working with fleets and things like that from the OTR standpoint, but how are you guys looking at it from a final mile standpoint? From a, hey, there's guys out there with, 4,000 box trucks, right? Like, do they fall into FetchGoat's realm?
They do. So they're on product number one, our enterprise FetchGoat. So we've got well over 100 final mile companies that are integrated in that piece. And so if we look at their service area in just the U.S., not including Canada or anywhere else in the world, but just the U.S., we cover that group of last mile providers cover every single zip code in the country. And so essentially we have the largest delivery network under one technology anywhere. And we tout that quite a bit, that if we were to turn tides, because look, we'll just call them the integrators, okay? So the two big integrators that we know, the purple ones and the brown ones, those guys, they don't cover every zip code, and they partner a lot with final mile companies. Well, so if you put all those final mile companies together, like you were talking about, under one technology, we've got the biggest delivery network in the world. And so we can do it on a global scale too. And so we look at that. That is a tremendous opportunity. A lot of those folks that are in there, they run box trucks everywhere. So one of our first customers has primarily sprinter vans, and so they run a national sprinter van delivery company, and they focus on expedite, and then they have some tractors and trailers too. But the big focus for them is sprinters, because they do a lot of expedite work and on demand, same day expedite. So to your point, that's a likely next step, is to have everybody under one roof. But we think that, because the only reason that we haven't really leveraged the final mile group that are out there is because they all use different technologies. So it's not the shipper that's broken, it's the industry. We've allowed so many different TMS products out there in the last mile space. There is not a TMS provider out there that has double-digit market share.
Really? For the last mile?
Yeah, wow. That's crazy. And so
frustrating. That was frustrating.
Fractured, right? Very fractured, which is why FetchGoat makes so much sense. So we are one language. We lay out that language over the top. We interpret all those different TMS products that are out there, and we give you a single pane of glass to look at or to manage all your all your activity on.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's really, I think, where things are going. I mean, the more folks I talk to in our space, whether I'm talking to, my customers, right, Scott, I'm sure when you're talking to yours, I mean, Revito is definitely one pane of glass to run it all, right? That's the value prop. And that's the same thing with Conduit here for, what's coming into your facility, what's leaving, things like that. And I think a lot of folks I talk to really want, it's funny, they want a command center. Everybody wants, there's like so many memes about it where it's like every man just wants a command center. And it's true. I don't think it's just guys. I think everyone in every job would like multiple monitors or one monitor that tells them everything and allows them to execute off it. And it sounds like you're moving towards that. If not, you're already there.
On the first product, that's essentially what it is. It's a command center for all of your activity. So and remote agnostic too. So we can have couriers and last mile providers. We can have LTL companies, full truckload, you name it. So we're completely mode agnostic, and we can look at everything in one pane of glass.
Awesome. So so with all of this in mind, what's the big goal? I know you said you have some new things you can't talk about, and that's okay. That's just a tease to everybody to follow up on you and see what Bill's doing over there.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
Where do you see the biggest opportunity in this space? I mean, when you look at this and things are changing, you seem to have been in the industry a while, you have. And, sounds to me like you got a really solid product and everything. When you look down the barrel of the next 10 years, what do you think it's going to look like with technologies like FetchGoat and with, other providers in the space that I haven't quite heard of anyone doing exactly what you're doing? But yeah, what's your kind of feel on everything? I'd be really interested to hear.
Yeah, so I think automation is going to continue to prevail, and I think more people are going to embrace automation, not from a standpoint of hey, let's automate it to automate it. We got to automate it where it makes sense, and we take manual or standard work that's standard repeatable work that's done every day and build automation around it. Charlie Dahoney over at Upwell, Charlie's a good friend of mine. And, Charlie did the same thing for the back office. That's standard repeatable work. You get an invoice comes in, I stamp it received, I put a date on it, and I move it on to the next process. And so Charlie built AI around that repeatable process and started a company, called Upwell. And they're doing great work. And but I think we're going to see a lot more of that where we have experienced folks that know there's a repeatable process that could be automated and then embrace it. And so, but what it does for companies is it helps them lower costs, and because now they don't have to have necessarily that many humans do it, so it helps them lower costs, but it speeds up the process. And at the end. We either have a more satisfied driver, which is very important in today's world, and then also a satisfied customer too. And so because you're keeping them informed of what's going on every step of the way. And I think once you're fully transparent and have adopted the automation piece, I think that's important. But I think we're going to see a lot more of that moving forward. And people are talking about, AI is going to take our jobs. No, man, just embrace AI. Use AI to help make your job easier, make your job better. And so I think if people are doing that, I think it's going to be a very interesting industry. But I think, right now we haven't seen a lot of automation in the trucking business.
No, I mean, we're laggards, right?
Yeah, totally.
As an industry.
Yeah, it's all on the brokerage side or the shipper side. And even then, I'll tell you, Bill, I go into a lot of warehouses that are still operating on a whiteboard and pen and paper and a 10,000-pound cabinet full of files for when they got to go figure out what's going on with a BOL from a few months ago. So,
exactly. That's why we built FetchGoat in the first place, because I would get a phone call back at the facility, and then I'd have someone have to go out into onto the dock to an old banker's box that's been out there collecting dust to look for a POD from 3 years ago that they got it on. And so, it's stuff like that drives you nuts.
Oh, man.
That's what automation's for.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So shifting to the last part of the show we like to go over, we would love to hear, you've been in this industry for 30 years, so you've definitely seen, heard, done some pretty interesting things, maybe some things that are unbelievable. So if you look back in the Rolodex of your memories, if you will, I'll use your word, right?
Nice.
What are some things that come to mind that are like, hey, I'm sitting at the bar talking to people, we're telling horror stories or just reminiscing. Like, what are some things you like to pull out of your pocket to tell folks?
Gosh, man, I've been through a couple of strikes. One of my favorite things is, I tell people I used to hustle. So I used to drive the yard goat, and I did it during both the strikes. And it wasn't something that I said, hey, I have that skill set, I can do that. It was like, hey, we need to move trailer from the trailer out of door 15 to door 30, and give me a whole list of moves to do. And I'm like, okay, I've seen this done, but I've never actually driven one, but I could probably figure it out.
You got voluntold.
So ABF, I apologize. I'm for all the equipment I tore up, back in the day, but I think the statute of limitations has passed where I can't be incriminated for this stuff.
I think you're good.
I got in this yard goat during the strike. So you got a whole line full of Teamsters.
So were you not a Teamster then?
No,
or you were scab?
Yeah.
Oh, you were in management. Okay, so
I was in management. And I was in barely management. We'll put it that.
Yeah.
And so I got all the Teamsters at the strike line, and they see me walk out to the yard goat, knowing it's coming. And so, it's like they all got their faces up to the fence, watching young Billy Hale get in that yard goat. And so I proceeded. I backed under a trailer. I did all that stuff correctly, raised the trailer up. I knew how to do all the basic stuff, but actually backing a trailer in with not having that skill. And I learned the term blindside. You're blindsiding. And so they were screaming directions from me from the gate. And it was so painful to watch. And so I, took 10 or 11 stabs at trying to get that trailer into the door correctly.
God. You ended the strike by yourself.
Oh, exactly. So so my full-time hostler, the guy that I worked with, time in and time out, the guy was amazing. He's like, I can't stand this anymore. So he crossed the picket line and came on and got onto the yard goat with me and gave me a 30-minute lesson. And I'm like, hey, aren't you going to get in trouble? He's like, no, man, it's too painful to watch. Everyone told me to come out here. So after that, I did a pretty decent job. So
there you go. Well, I mean, that's something that's not easy to do. I mean, I'm sure anybody doing that for the first time, especially under the pressure of everybody watching, I can't imagine is just going to butcher it. And that's not.
Oh, yeah. Well, it gives you a whole new respect for these guys. I mean, it's an unbelievable skill set. And, I was in Denver, right? And so, in LTL, we ran 28-foot pups. And so, and to hook up a set two trailers together.
Oh, you had double pup.
Yep. So you have a converter gear. And so in the wintertime, you're coming off the mountain and that converter gear is now a ball of ice. And so when a set would come in, I would go out and help the hostler, with the sledgehammer, and we'd be, breaking that converter gear. It's ice. And so, if you're out there helping them do work, I think you kind of earn some respect from those guys. And, we just wanted to make their job, because that can be a tough job. But we had a great relationship with those guys. Yeah. And but yeah, I think it was fantastic experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Bill, I'll have to pick your brain sometime on yard management and things like that, because I imagine you've spent quite a bit of time dealing with all the ins and outs of that. Because you think your standard 53 is hard. And then you're moving pups, and you're moving this, and you're moving that, and you're doing it in Denver in the cold, and there's probably a lot of experience you have over there.
Yeah, matter of fact, our one of the next products is related to yard management and dock management, and so that's going to be on down the line. But so I've got experience doing that, and I've got some great ideas. I think we could deploy automation with that.
Absolutely.
So, we'll catch up later on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We should. But so I don't know. I mean, Scott, I feel like we've had a great conversation with Bill. Bill, you're awesome. I love to see folks coming from the space and going and building something that's outstanding.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
We're very proud of the team. Very proud of what they built. And if we're wrapping up, I could ask one favor of the listeners and you guys. Be sure to go follow FG Breakdown. Go like and follow the page and support our content that we're putting out on LinkedIn. Because I'm sales guy by day, and I build LinkedIn posts by night. So
there you go.
Go build the post for tomorrow. So.
Awesome. And good stuff. And so LinkedIn, anywhere else they can find you?
Yeah, fgbreakdown.com.
FGBreakdown.com.
You want a demo of the system, happy to give you a demo. Any fleet owners that are out there, I'll give you a demo personally. But yeah, come to fgbreakdown.com or come to LinkedIn, track me down that way. And I'd love to serve you.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, and I think Lombard would agree. There's a lack of products out there that are directly helping drivers, and this is one of them. So good on you. We love to hear it. We're a big supporter of the drivers on our pod. So to everyone listening, please be sure to check us out every other Tuesday at What's Domiciled on YouTube and Spotify for the full epis, and YouTube and Instagram for the reels. So we really appreciate you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.